I'm Robert Cardoza, and you're watching On the Street, the intersection of business and politics. My guest today is Oscar Gonzalez. Oscar and I are talking about those cyber attacks that we've all been petrified about since we've been hearing about them, saying that that was going to be the new war against the United States. We're finding out that it's going to be a very subtle war, but an important one, I think. So, Oscar, let's get back on cyber attacks. And you know, earlier you were talking to me about a company that was just amazing, and the name of the company was Anonymous.
Sure.
Can you talk about Anonymous a little bit and what some of the stuff they've done?
Sure, I can talk about them. They're not necessarily a company, and in fact, they're an anti-company. They're an unorganized group. And it's very hard to explain that because they're decentralized. They don't have a leader. I mean, they have a leader, but you don't know. You can't identify them. There's nobody that knows their name. They communicate through hidden chat rooms.
But people follow them.
Online. People follow what they're doing, and they broadcast their actions. For example, they may take an action against a company they believe to be evil, or a company that's threatening a human right. And what they do is they basically shut them down, or they go into their systems and get information that is going to be made public if they don't change a practice that they're performing, for example. And they're kind of rattling a lot of people's cages because they're standing as a vigilante group detached from any government, company, or organization and saying, look, we're here to kind of maintain the internet's purity. And
what kind of actions would they take? What would an example of what they might do that would create
last year and the year before, they took down 2 of the major credit card companies' websites for anywhere from 14 hours to 30 hours. And they did that as a response of those companies shutting down access to funds to a humanitarian cause. And so what they did is they literally defaced their website. So now when you go to the website, it says this website has been hacked by Anonymous, and they explain the reasoning. And
they actually tell you?
Oh yes, they tell you. They want to be open about everything. They believe that the internet should be completely open and transparent so people know what's going on. So they encourage that. And when they feel like somebody has violated that enough times or significantly enough, they go in and take action on their own.
So then when that happened,
yes,
did that then say, hey, you know, retailers couldn't access it to get credit card approvals, and people couldn't use their credit cards for flights? And is that what was going on?
A lot of that happened, even though it wasn't completely shut down for everybody. But they really focus on things that will affect the company only. Yeah. They try not to affect the public because they want to make a stand to say that they're here to keep people in check.
They're not trying to hurt who they believe to be innocent.
Correct. And that was their whole purpose. And they've done this to numerous websites. They've done this to government websites. They've done this to entire countries where they might shut them down for a little bit of time just to let them know that they can't just get away with this stuff.
So if that's already happening, it's happened in the past, I'm assuming it continues to happen right now in the present. Then would I be correct in assuming that, at least from your point of view, all these cyber attacks that we're worried about, they've been going on for a number of years already in the background? Yes,
cyber warfare has been going on since the internet came about. Yeah. Early 90s, people have been trying to break into other people's systems, and sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't. But we hardly ever hear about those things. And that's the difference between Anonymous and a government trying to break into your own country. Anonymous will tell you about it and will tell you why they're doing it. While a government, like I said earlier, the most successful attack would be for them to come in, disrupt the system, steal information, or change information, and then leave quietly.
So with the cyber attacks that they're talking about, then obviously, or I should say maybe not so obviously, what the cyber attacks are going to go after are big companies that control the economy, big issues that are going on. It's not going to be those scam artists that go after you on your email and say, hey, help me, I need this, or I need an attorney, or hey, I'm stuck in Mexico and I couldn't pay my bill.
Sure.
You know, it's not that. It's going to be much bigger things, right?
Oh, definitely. These are, like you were saying earlier, you know, attacking our infrastructure. And while it's a far-fetched scenario that somebody could come in and shut down our entire power grid, they could certainly shut down the power grid for a big metropolitan area, say Los Angeles or New York. But a big cyber attack will take place silently. But we also have the concern of individuals' data security and safety, and that's your personal information. People may be trying to get into that, especially if you're a personality or a celebrity. People want to get into your stuff and try to see what they can dig in about you, maybe to blackmail you.
So I want to talk to you about one more thing, because we've got about 3 minutes left in this segment.
Sure.
And one more thing that I found fascinating, because you and I had breakfast before we came over here to the studio, and we were talking about people's passwords, companies' passwords. It would take years and years to get these things done. And we talked about supercomputers.
Sure.
And you made a comment to me about supercomputers that just blew me away. And if you remember what that was, or I'll help you if you don't.
No, I do.
Could you just say
Sure.
that?
For the past 30, 40 years, we've had supercomputers. Every research institute continues to develop the newer one and better one, and to see how far they can push the envelope in technology. But in recent years, Sony, for example, developed the PlayStation 3. And the PlayStation 3 has 3 graphic processors in the system that are super powerful. And people figured out that if they put together more than 8 PlayStations and they program the system to it to work together, you now have a supercomputer.
So you've got a supercomputer that is just as good as any of the ones out there because of the inexpensive chips that are in PlayStation 3.
Sure. I can't say that it is as good as any of the other supercomputers, but it scales. So if a supercomputer costs $20 million to build by a university, you can build a comparable system for maybe, $1 million, just based on off-the-shelf hardware that you can buy at Best Buy or over the internet. And as long as you have the know-how and the software available for that, you can have a system that will break down a lot of passwords very quickly. You can do brute force attacks, or you can do basically break down algorithms, which is all that hacking is, trying to figure out how the system works and decoding it.
And then you also mentioned to me earlier that when it comes to passwords, you want to use sophisticated passwords, because it can, even a computer can take it years to break that. And what they do is they do it in segments, a little bit here, a little bit there, before you even know you've been hacked, right?
Sure, definitely.
And which is why you encourage people to change their password every 6 months, 3 months?
Sure, yeah, definitely. When we started working together, you were a little bit taken aback with the type of passwords I gave you, but definitely I recommend 16 characters or more, with a combination of all the characters on your keyboard. So you need to make a random password, and that would be very difficult to break.
So people that have questions about that, they want to contact Oscar's Tech, give your website out.
Sure, my website is oscarstech.com. You can find me there or contact me, but you can also find me on Twitter with a username @notagrouch, and that is the best way to get a hold of me if you just have a few questions. And then from there, you can find my phone number and email and contact me.
Hey, Oscar, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I know we're going to have you back next week because we're going to talk about social networking.
Sure.
I want to remind everyone that you're watching On the Street, the intersection of business and politics. I'm Robert Cardoza.